I woke up to the sound of my dog growling. Low, guttural, nothing like her usual bark. At first, I thought she was dreaming, twitching at the foot of my bed, but when I sat up, she was standing rigid at the doorway, ears back, teeth bared, staring into the dark hallway. The air felt wrong. Not just cold, but hollow, like the walls themselves had pulled back and left nothing but open space. I couldn't see anything, but my chest locked up with the heavy certainty that something was standing right there, watching us. I whispered her name, tried to calm her, but she wouldn't move. And then she stopped growling. Completely. Her head tilted, like she was listening. Then she walked, tail down, body trembling, straight into the hallway. The problem was, I didn't follow. Because when I leaned out of bed and looked, I realized the hallway wasn't the same. The stairs that should have been visible at the end were gone. Just a black curve of wall, bending deeper and deeper, like the house had folded into a circle. And I swear to God, I heard footsteps coming from that curve. Slow, deliberate, coming closer. I grabbed my phone for light, but the screen wouldn't turn on, completely dead, even though I'd left it charging overnight. That's when I noticed the dog wasn't making any sound anymore. No tags jingling, no nails on the floor. Just silence. I called her name again, louder this time. Nothing. The footsteps had stopped too. Not at a distance. Right there, just beyond the threshold. And then, like someone leaning into my ear, I heard a whisper, "Come see." I froze. My skin crawled like every pore on my body had opened at once. I wanted to run, but something in my chest pulled forward, like gravity had shifted toward the hallway. The curve of the wall seemed deeper now, darker, as though if I just took one step inside, I'd start spiraling down forever. That's when I saw it, at the bend where the stairwell should have been. Two pinpricks of light, level with my eyes. Not glowing exactly, but reflecting, like the way animal eyes catch headlights in the dark. Except they blinked. And when they opened again, they weren't where they'd been before. They were closer. I slammed the bedroom door. Hard. The sound echoed wrong, like it wasn't hitting wood, but something hollow, metallic. My hands were shaking so bad, I fumbled the lock twice before it clicked. Silence. I pressed my ear to the door, barely breathing. Nothing. Not even the creak of the house settling. I whispered my dog's name again, and I swear, I heard her tags jingle. Relief flooded me for half a second, until I realized the sound wasn't on the other side of the door. It was behind me. I spun around, expecting her, tail wagging, dumb happy face, but there was nothing. Just the moonlight bleeding through the blinds. Then the light flickered, like someone had walked past the window outside. But my bedroom's on the second floor. I backed into the corner, every muscle ready to bolt. That's when my phone buzzed, dead a minute ago, suddenly lit up in my hand. A notification flashed across the screen. It wasn't from any app one had installed. Just 3 words, plain text. Open the door. I dropped the phone like it burned me. It clattered on the floor, still lit, still showing those words. I didn't move, didn't breathe, just stared. Then it buzzed again. A new message, the same app I'd never seen before. She's waiting. My stomach twisted. They meant my dog. Against every ounce of reason, I crouched down and picked the phone up again. The battery icon read 0%, but the screen glared bright white. My reflection in the glass looked wrong, my eyes too wide, face stretched thin like I was underwater. Another buzz. Image received. I hesitated, then tapped it open. The photo was blurry, but I knew instantly what I was looking at. The hallway outside my room, the circular wall bending into the black. My dog sat there, ears flat, staring toward the camera. But behind her, something towered up from the bend. A figure so tall its head scraped the ceiling, too thin, like the shadow of a man but cut out too sharp, too dark. Its arms stretched forward, just above her head. And I realized the photo had been taken from inside my bedroom. I couldn't stay in that room. Whatever had taken that picture had been standing right where I was now. I grabbed my keys, bolted for the window, and shoved it open. Cold night air rushed in. My brain screamed that jumping from the second floor was insane, but the thought of opening that door was worse. I swung a leg out, heart hammering. Then, click. The bedroom door. The lock turning on its own. I didn't look back. I pushed off the ledge, landed hard in the wet grass below. Pain shot up my ankle, but I was already running, barefoot, clutching my keys like they might save me. I didn't stop until I reached the gravel road past the tree line. My chest burned, my vision blurred, but I knew I wasn't alone. There was a glow ahead, two pale lights hovering above the road. At first I thought they were headlights, but no sound followed. No car, just light. As I got closer, the shape came into focus. A woman stood in the middle of the road, lit from nowhere, wearing what looked like an old nurse's uniform. White cap, long skirt. Her face was pale and expressionless, and when she lifted her arm, her finger pointed straight at me. And behind her, the road bent in a perfect circle, curving back into itself, no end in sight. I skidded to a stop, gravel biting into my feet. The nurse didn't move except for that steady, awful gesture, her arm raised, finger locked on me like a compass needle. I tried to speak, but the words caught in my throat. My breath steamed in the air, too loud, like the night itself was holding its breath. Then she tilted her head, just a few degrees, like she was listening to something I couldn't hear. Her mouth opened. No sound came out at first, just a dry, creaking stretch, like old hinges. Then a voice spilled out, not hers, not human. Metallic, layered, like 100 whispers playing through a broken radio. It said, "Go back inside." I staggered backwards, shaking my head. My house was the last place I was going. But before I could turn, the nurse blinked out. Not vanished, skipped. 1 second she was 10 feet ahead. The next she was 2 feet from me, finger almost brushing my chest. And in that split second, I saw her eyes. Not eyes at all, just pits, black and bottomless, swallowing the starlight. That's when the growl started again, low and rumbling, from somewhere deep in the trees. My dog. But it didn't sound like her anymore. The growl deepened until the ground itself seemed to vibrate with it. My first thought, if I can even call it a thought, was that my dog had found me. Relief almost broke through the terror. Then the trees moved. Not branches swaying in the wind, whole trunks shuddering, shifting, like something massive was pushing between them. The nurse didn't react. Her fingers stayed leveled at my chest, unwavering, as the growl grew louder and louder. And then it stepped out. At first I thought it was a dog. For legs, a muzzle, shoulders hunched. But the size of it made my stomach flip. It was as tall as a horse, its fur so black it looked like the space around it had been cut out with scissors. No reflection, no light, just absence. Its eyes weren't eyes. They were circles of pure white, glowing like holes punched through reality. It padded onto the road with deliberate slowness, claws scraping stone. And my dog's tags jingled from its neck. The nurse finally lowered her hand. She didn't look at me anymore. She looked at it. And in that awful, static cracked voice, she whispered something I'll never forget. "He's learning to wear her skin." I ran. Didn't even think. Just turned and sprinted down the road that bent into itself, praying it would lead somewhere. The gravel tore my feet open, but the only thing I felt was the sound. Those claws dragging after me. Too steady, too patient. The nurse didn't follow. Or maybe she didn't need to. The circle of the road tightened, twisting until the trees blurred together like smeared paint. My chest was on fire, lungs clawing for air, but every time I looked back the thing was the same distance behind me. Never closer, never farther. Just watching me run. Then the road opened. I stumbled out into light. Not daylight, but a strange, sourceless glow. And there it was, my house. Only wrong. The walls curved, spiraling up into a shape that shouldn't exist, windows bending at angles like they'd been painted on, the door stretched into an oval mouth. My stomach lurched. It was like someone had built a house from memory, but got all the details wrong. I thought about bolting into the woods, but the void dog was already blocking the tree lane. Its white eyes blinked once, slow and deliberate, like it knew. Behind me, the door of the warped house swung open on its own. And from inside, I heard my dog bark. High, frantic, desperate. It sounded real. It sounded like her. I stood frozen, the sound of her bark cutting through everything. My rational brain screamed, it's a trick, but instinct clawed harder. If there was even a chance she was inside, I had to go. The void dog padded closer, slow and patient, her tags clinking against its impossible black fur. "Good girl," I whispered, like the words might anchor the real her somewhere. My throat was raw. The door yawned wider. I could see a staircase spiraling up inside, glowing faintly. It looked almost normal, wooden banister, carpeted steps, until I blinked. Then it was gone. just a wall curving into the same impossible circle I'd seen upstairs before. I stepped forward anyway. The air around the doorway felt thick, like walking into water. Every part of me screamed, "Don't go in," but the barking got sharper, frantic, echoing down from above. The moment I crossed the threshold, the sound cut off. Silence. Behind me, the door slammed. I spun, grabbed at the knob, but it wasn't a door anymore. Just smooth wall, warm under my palm like skin. And in the silence, I heard something else. Footsteps on the stairs. Slow, deliberate, coming down toward me. But the stairs weren't there. The sound of those footsteps rattled in my skull, steady and solid on steps I couldn't see. I backed against the wall, palms flat, searching for a seam, a doorknob, anything. Nothing. Just that sickening warmth under the wallpaper, like the house itself had a pulse. The footsteps stopped. I forced myself to look up. There, on the curve of the wall above, an outline peeled into view. A figure bent backward, like a shadow projected onto the wrong surface. Its arms dragged along the wall, too long, fingers scraping deep grooves into the plaster. It was upside down, moving like gravity didn't apply to it, crawling down an invisible staircase. And with each scrape of its nails, the grooves in the wall bled. I pressed my eyes shut, whispering my dog's name over and over like a prayer. When I opened them again, the figure was closer, close enough that its face snapped into focus. Except it wasn't a face. It was a screen, a square, glowing faintly, flickering static. For a second, it looked exactly like my phone screen. Then text scrolled across it, letters jittering like they'd been typed by shaking hands. "Why did you leave her outside?" The words burned into me. My mouth opened before I could stop it. "I didn't," my voice cracked. "She's my dog. I came back for her." The screen face flickered. More text scrawled across it, jagged and too fast to follow at first, like a chat window glitching. Then it slowed, steadied. "She is not yours now." The air thickened, heavy with the smell of iron. I gagged. Behind the figure, the grooves in the wall widened, dripping dark streaks down to the carpet. The sound wasn't liquid, though. It hit the floor with dull thuds, like meat. I stumbled sideways, trying to put space between us, but the curved walls funneled me closer. The figure crawled faster, its limbs bending wrong, elbows folding the wrong way as it descended on nothing. I lifted my dead phone, desperate, like it could shield me. The screen blinked alive again. White light flared across the figure's face, and for one fractured second the static cleared. It showed my dog, but she wasn't barking. She was lying on her side, chest still. The tags around her neck jingled faintly, though she didn't move. Then the image distorted, folding in on itself, and when it snapped back the screen face was inches from mine. Text filled the display, sharp and final. "She's wearing you next." I dropped the phone. It hit the carpet with a muffled thud, too soft, like the floor wasn't carpet at all, but something that absorbed the sound. Flesh, maybe. The screen face thing didn't move. It just loomed inches from me, its head twitching in short, mechanical jolts, like static skipping frames. I couldn't even breathe without tasting blood in the air. Then the stairs shifted. The wall bent, folded, and suddenly I wasn't in a hallway at all. I was standing in a hospital corridor. Fluorescent lights buzzed above me, half of them flickering. The tiles under my bare feet were slick, smeared with streaks I didn't want to identify. At the far end, a gurney stood abandoned, sheets tangled, wheels locked sideways. The nurse was there too. Same uniform, same pale skin. She stood beside the gurney with her head bowed, hands folded neatly in front of her like she was waiting. And the screen face thing? Gone. For a moment I thought maybe I'd passed out, dreamed it all. Then I heard it again. The jingling of my dog's tags. Not from down the hall. From the ceiling. I tilted my head up, slow, terrified, and saw her. Pinned flat against the tiles above me like a bug in glass. Legs twitching, eyes wide, mouth open in a silent bark. And something else pressed in close beside her. A black shape, hunched and smiling too wide, its teeth the only thing gleaming in the flicker of the lights. I stumbled back, neck craned up, every muscle screaming to move, but locking instead. My dog's paws scrabbled uselessly against the ceiling tiles, claws clicking in a frantic rhythm. She wasn't held there by ropes or wires. She just wasn't coming down. The black shape beside her shifted. Its grin stretched wider, lips splitting too far, until its face was nothing but a crescent of teeth. A drop of something hot spattered my cheek. I wiped it without thinking. Blood. Hers. Help her, I begged. My voice cracked. I didn't even know who I was speaking to. The nurse finally raised her head. Her eyes weren't pits anymore. They were glassy, wet, too human. For a moment, she almost looked sad. Then she shook her head, once. The gurney wheels squealed as it rolled forward on its own, straight toward me. Sheets dragging the floor, leaving streaks. I pressed against the wall, heart slamming, and as the gurney passed me I saw what was under the sheet. Not a body. A mirror. The reflection showed me standing there, pale, wide-eyed, but in the mirror's version, my dog wasn't on the ceiling. She was draped in my arms, limp and heavy, her throat torn wide open. The tags jingled once in my reflection's hand before the image froze, like a paused video. And then the glass surface rippled, and the reflection smiled. The mirror smile didn't move with me. I staggered back, shaking my head, but the version of me in the glass just leaned closer, lips peeling wider. Behind it, the hospital corridor bent in impossible angles, stretching out into a spiral just like the house. My reflection tilted its head, dog dangling from its arms, and mouthed something I couldn't hear. The nurse touched the gurney, steadying it. Her face was calm now, almost serene, like she was presiding over a ritual. She whispered, "Trade places." The glass surface of the mirror pulsed, once, like a heartbeat. My reflection raised its hand, palm open, pressing it against the inside of the glass. Waiting. I couldn't move. My body wanted to run, but my legs trembled like water. My hand lifted halfway without my permission, shaking, drawn forward by that awful pull. Then my dog yelped. From above. I jerked my head up. She was still pinned to the ceiling, still alive, her eyes locked on me, pleading. The black shape crouched tighter around her, teeth glinting as it turned its grin down toward me. The reflection pounded once on the glass, impatient. The nurse whispered again, louder this time, her voice cracking with static. Trade places. I clenched my fists and forced myself back. No. I croaked, shaking my head so hard my vision blurred. The mirror pulsed again, harder, spiderweb cracks racing across the surface. My reflection slammed both palms against the inside, mouthing words so fast they blurred. My dog whimpered above me. Real, pained, desperate, and that sound cut deeper than anything else. The nurse's calm broke. Her face split into static lines, like an old TV losing signal. She shrieked, the sound layered with a dozen voices, all chanting the same command. Trade. Places. I pressed my back to the wall, covering my ears. I'm not. I won't. The black grin on the ceiling widened. The thing pressed its muzzle against my dog's neck, teeth grazing fur. She whimpered again, weaker this time. And then the mirror shattered outward. Glass sprayed the corridor, cutting into my arms, my face, but none of it hit the floor. The shards hung there, floating, each one flashing with a different reflection of me, laughing, screaming, bleeding, holding my dead dog in endless variations. The largest shard hovered inches from my chest. My reflection in it wasn't smiling anymore. It was twitching, head jerking, like something behind my eyes was trying to crawl out. And then it leaned forward, pressing through the glass like water. The shard pushed cold against my chest, and before I could shove it away, hands burst through the glass, my hands. They were pale, veined, the nails cracked and dark. They grabbed my shoulders with a grip so strong it felt like bone grinding against bone. I screamed and shoved back, but the glass didn't shatter again. It bent, elastic, pulling me forward. The reflections around me writhed, some pounding to get out, others laughing silently, their mouths too wide. Above, my dog thrashed against the ceiling, claws scrabbling frantically. The black grin pressed harder to her neck, almost tender, as if waiting for me to give in. The nurse didn't move. She just watched with that faint, broken smile, blood dripping steadily from her clasped hands onto the floor. The shard yanked harder, and for a split second my face was halfway through. I could taste the air on the other side, cold, metallic, like old blood and rust. My reflection's lips brushed mine. It whispered, not in text, not in static, just my own voice in my own throat. It's easier here. She'll stop screaming if you come. The thing on the ceiling growled low, impatient. The sound rattled the tiles. My dog let out one sharp yelp, then went limp. Her tags jingled once, softly. I don't know where the strength came from. Panic, rage, something primal, but I tore myself backward, ripping free of the glass hands. Shards rained down, slicing my skin, but I didn't care. The mirror screamed. Not breaking glass, not human. It was me. 100 versions of me shrieking at once, voices overlapping, begging, cursing, laughing. The corridor pulsed like a throat, lights flickering in time with the sound. I looked up. My dog was still limp on the ceiling, the black grin curled around her like smoke. But her chest moved. Barely. She was still alive. Let her go, I shouted, my voice raw, echoing too loud in the warped hallway. The grin turned its teeth on me, stretching wider than a head should allow. It didn't drop her. Instead, it leaned closer to her ear, like it was whispering something to her. Her eyes flicked toward me, and for the first time that night, I wished she wouldn't. They weren't her eyes anymore. They were white. Empty. Her tags jingled again, softly, like laughter. The nurse finally moved, stepping toward me with deliberate calm. She reached into her pocket and pulled out something small. When her hand opened, I saw it glint in the fluorescent light. My house key. She held it out, voice low and steady, as the reflection hands began clawing their way out of the broken glass behind me. It's time to go back inside. I shook my head so violently it made my vision swim. No, I rasped, backing toward the warped wall. I'm not going back in there. The nurse didn't falter. She stepped closer, key dangling from her pale fingers, her eyes wide with something between pity and command. Behind me, the mirror shards convulsed, vomiting out half-formed versions of myself. One crawled on all fours, jaw unhinged, teeth clattering against the tile. Another stumbled upright with my dog's limp body stitched into its chest, her head lolling as it grinned through her torn mouth. The corridor shook. Ceiling tiles cracked. My dog, the real one, twitched above me, whimpering, but those hollow white eyes stayed locked on mine. The black grin curled around her ear again, whispering. This time I heard it. She wants to come home. My chest heaved. Every instinct screamed to run, but where? The corridor spiraled endlessly in both directions, and the mirror things were closing in, their nails clicking against tile. The nurse pressed the key into my palm before I realized I'd even extended my hand. Her skin was ice cold. The second the metal touched me, the hospital walls peeled back like wet paper, and I was standing in front of my house again. Only this time, every window was glowing white. And from inside, I heard my dog bark. Just once. Sharp. Familiar. Hopeful. The bark echoed in my chest, so normal, so hers that it almost broke me. I clutched the key so tight it cut into my palm. The white glow from the windows pulsed, like the whole house was breathing. The front door creaked open, just enough to show darkness beyond. Not a crack of light. I stepped closer. My body didn't feel like mine anymore. Every movement heavy, dragging, like I was walking through someone else's dream. Good girl, I whispered, voice trembling. The tags jingled faintly from inside, answering me. The moment I set foot on the porch, the glow in the windows died. Darkness swallowed everything, leaving only the faint outline of the door. I slid the key into the lock. It turned too easily, the metal clicking in a rhythm that sounded like teeth clacking together. The door swung wide. The house wasn't empty. It wasn't even a house anymore. The spiral stairs stretched up and down forever, curving out of sight, every step lined with shards of glass like mirrors. And in every shard, I saw myself. Dozens, hundreds of me, holding dozens of limp, bloody versions of my dog. Some were screaming. Some were smiling. One or two were staring straight back at me, waiting. From the top of the spiral came the growl. Low, deep, familiar. Her growl, but too big, too wrong. The sound shook the steps beneath my feet as the void dog began to descend. The spiral shook with every step it took. My dog's growl, twisted, stretched, rolled down the staircase like thunder. The glass shards quivered, reflections inside pressing their palms against the surface, grinning, pleading, screaming. I gripped the banister, my knuckles white. My breath came in shallow gasps. Somewhere above, I thought I heard her tags jingle, light, bright, real. Baby, I whispered. My voice cracked in the silence. The void dog appeared at the curve of the stairs. Its body was absence itself, cutting a hole in reality as it descended. Those white, endless eyes locked onto me, and around its neck, her collar, dangling, empty. The sound of jingling tags came again, but not from the stairs. From behind me, I spun. The front door was gone, just wall. But in the reflection of a jagged shard at my feet, I saw myself holding her, warm, alive, licking my face, tail wagging. I could feel it, like the reflection was radiating heat. The shard vibrated, tugging at me. My reflection mouthed something I couldn't hear. Behind me, the void dog's growl deepened. The steps cracked under its weight. The shard shimmered, offering one impossible escape. The stairs trembled, promising only teeth. I reached for the glass. Cold split my skin, and everything went dark.